So, like, why do you think we see, especially in our country, a big reason the youth is not for spirituality as a concept is because a lot of the youth associate spirituality with the whole, the Baba culture. That's what they
Correct.
call it.
Correct.
So, firstly, why do you think that Baba culture exists in the first place? And secondly, how can we get that section of youth back into understanding the true meaning of spirituality?
Correct. Correct. Firstly, we were talking about religion and spirituality, right? It's very fashionable to say these days, you know what, I'm not religious.
I'm
I'm
spiritual.
spiritual. Hang on, man. Do you know the meaning of the word spiritual?
Yeah.
Not being condescending,
No,
but
no.
it's quite fashionable to say
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
I'm not religious. I'm very spiritual. But I'm not too sure even people if people even know what the fine line is. You know, I don't think there's a difference between religion and spirituality if the spirit is existing. You know, then
sir.
every ritual is also spiritual. But as soon as the spirit is gone, that's ritualistic religion. You know?
100%.
So I think with the question about Baba culture and all of that stuff, in every aspect of life, we need mentors, guides, teachers, gurus. Like if I were to learn singing, I would need someone from the Hindustani Gharar side of music or from the Carnatic side of music to teach me what music is. You would have exceptional people like Ranu Mondal, who's like, you know, on the station, railway station somewhere singing, gifted. These are people who are probably gifted and never trained, but they're exceptions. The general rule is we need to be coached and mentored into learning something, right? I don't think spirituality is an exception as well. You know, where we need gurus or guides or mentors who will teach us and lead us onto that path. Now, the issue is when the spiritual leaders or coaches or gurus or mentors become the focal point or the center point, and the spiritual wisdom that they are teaching goes at the backseat. Then it becomes cultist. What's a cult? A cult is where the figure becomes the center and the message and the practice and the wisdom goes at the back.
100%.
Correct? Now contrast that with the wisdom coming to the front and the person saying, okay, I'm here to lead you, I'm here to train you, I'm here to guide you, but this is what you should be connecting to. Correct?
That's your real guru.
That's your real guru. Wisdom is your real guru. I'm simply the mouthpiece. I'm simply the microphone. Yes, because I'm the front face, you'll be attached to me. Yes, because I'm a front face, you're going to be attracted to me. Yes, because I'm a front face, you're going to connect to me. But there's way beyond me, something way beyond me, wisdom, knowledge, spiritual forces, powers, and I simply represent them.
100%.
As soon as you have teachers and gurus and guides who do that, I don't think the youngsters have a problem with that at all.
100%.
They don't deny the fact that we need mentors. They're just frustrated and disgruntled with the fact that, like they say, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And you know, trust me, the power that spiritual leaders can have, nobody in the world can have. And the simple reason being, they've renounced a lot. They had money, they had opportunities, you know, they put it all to the side and took to a life like this. So you will have the biggest industrialists, the biggest in the cinema world, the biggest in the sports world, coming to the spiritual leaders and sitting at their feet and seeking guidance. You know, when power, money, followers come to you,
Yeah.
even if you started with a noble purpose, it's easy to kind of get carried away.
100%.
So I feel like your second part of the question was, what do we do to, you know,
Pull them back.
pull them back? I think we need spiritual leaders who are not attached to their face, who are not attached to their name, who are not attached to their institutions. We need spiritual leaders who are truly, truly wanting to bring wellness to the world, and people who kind of clearly profess and say that, look, it's not about me. It's about what I'm trying to teach. And even in what I'm trying to teach, it's up to you if you want to choose this path.
Yeah.
There's no imposition. So I think if you have that kind of an aspect available,
Yeah.
I do feel that the youngsters will kind of be back. So we need more of such spiritual leaders,
100%.
actually.
So I want to add two things to what you said.
Yeah.
The first is that I genuinely believe that we are moving into an age like that where we are seeing
Absolutely.
more ethical spiritual
Correct.
leaders.
Correct.
And the second thing I want to add is a learning of mine since I left college. It's been 5 years since I left college, and the one big learning of my life has been that throughout your life you're given a lot of tests.
Correct.
And these are usually ethical tests.
That's right.
Things that test your behavior, things that test what you'll do in a particular situation. Now, the thing is, if you choose to be on a spiritual path, the nature of what happens to life is that the frequency of those tests increases. You're given more and more tests and more difficult tests. Where, say, if you do become a spiritual leader per se, you are given that power.
Sure.
So then it's easier to get your way. It's easier to do the unethical thing because it's the more fun thing to do. Now, a lot of spiritual leaders, what I believe is that they initially start with the correct intent. They start with the intent of spreading wisdom. But as they themselves grow spiritually, life tests them. And maybe somewhere they fail their test, and that's why you see downfalls. Or, if someone retains the power, it usually means that they've passed the test.
Sure.
And I also believe that even if the spiritual leader is 120 years old, he's still going to get tests even then.
200%.
Yeah.
200%.
So, what do you have to say about that, sir?
Yeah, I'm in total agreement of what you're saying. And I think there are 2-3 kinds of people who, spiritual leaders who come on some come on the path to use it.
As in?
They come to make this as a profession.
Okay, got it.
They're not spiritual leaders at all. They see that it works well. It's the easy way out. They don't want to do what's right. They want to do what's easy.
How do you spot that? How do you say that?
That's precisely why so many issues happening, right? That's the Baba culture that we're talking about. Correct?
100%.
Then there are second kind of the second variety is those spiritual leaders who come on the path. And exactly what you mentioned, the tests do come. And although they were kind of totally tuned into their purpose, can get a little carried away, go astray, maybe come back, maybe not, whatever. And third are the ones who actually have passed the test of time and have kind of really remained grounded and level-headed and, been like beacons of inspiration to the world.
100%.
But yes, tests are there for each and every single one. Whether you're a spiritual leader or not, ethical dilemmas will always be there. And I'll tell you, moral dilemmas are choosing between right and wrong. That's easy. Ethical dilemmas are choosing between right and right or wrong and wrong.
Right and more right.
Right and more right, wrong and more wrong. And that's where you kind of really test it.
Yeah.
So we all have those dilemmas. And my understanding is when any leader, not just spiritual leader, political leaders, corporate leaders, spiritual, these principles are true for all.
And everyone's
not
tested.
just spiritual leaders.
Yeah.
The spiritual leaders, just because the conversation is about spiritual leaders, we're saying it, but it's true for every leader. When power comes, facility comes, there is a tendency to get isolated and start living in the ivory tower. Where you're not open to learn from others, you're not open to connect to equals. The one thing that successful leaders in any field need the most is equal friendship.
Okay.
Because in front of your superiors, if you have anybody like you look up to, you're always going to put up a face, your image, which is like great. And in front of people who are younger to you, you're going to always put up an image which is going to impress them. Like so everything good about me. But in front of equals, where you have friends, and people know you in and out, there's very less pretension there. People who are superior and inferior, there's a lot of pretension on both fronts. When people you're equal and you have good relationships and friendships, there's very less scope for pretensions, and that's where you kind of have to be open to listen to feedback from your peers and your equals.
Even if it's harsh.
Which usually it is.
Yeah, 100%.
Which usually it is.
Yeah.
And which is precisely why the biggest danger for anybody is to have no one who can kind of correct you. If you feel that I'm beyond anybody's correction any longer, that is when then there is a lot of scope for kind of being dragged down, carried away by what.
That's where downfall begins.
That's where the downfall begins.
So, I strongly believe that, the youth, a lot of them will understand the true meaning of spirituality a little bit into the spiritual journey.
Yes.
But a lot of them, initially, you need to show them that fruit, that, this is what you'll get from
Indeed.
it. So why should a 20-year-old in today's day and age, or a teenager, why should they take up something like meditation, or even just read or get to know more about the spiritual path? What's in it for them?
Correct.
So what have been your learnings? Like, what can it add to your material life, your professional life, your career, your relationships?
Sure,
What can
sure.
spirituality add?
Sure. Your material in your professional life, for example, if a 20-year-old still at university wants to excel in his or her course, imagine you practice meditation and what we were talking earlier on, mindfulness, where you learn to be in the present. You can imagine when your systems get conditioned and habituated and trained to be in the present, that's exactly what's called concentrate. What concentration means, right?
Focus.
Concentration. And most students will complain that I'm not able to focus, I'm not able to concentrate. So the immediate result of meditation and mindful practices is your focus and your concentration, whatever you do, improves. Whether it's your study, whether it's your work, whatever you do, it improves. Right? That's A. B is most youngsters are in relationships today. Right? Most youth is in relationships. Now, in relationships, the biggest killer of a meaningful relationship is expectations. The more you expect, the more you're disappointed. The more you're giving, the more it works in your favor. And it's very difficult to be giving. It's easy to expect from a person. And why am I expecting from that person? Because my sense of joy, my sense of happiness, my sense of validation comes from that other person. So I'm expecting a lot. Imagine if you were meditating and connecting very deeply to yourself, and you're finding that self-validation, that self-worth, right? And you are not too dependent on it from somebody else, you would be in a position to give more to the other person.
100%.
In which case your relationships get better because now you're not so much dependent. तूने ऐसा बोला तो मुझे अच्छा लगेगा, तूने ऐसा नहीं कहा तो इसलिए ऐसा नहीं हुआ, लेकिन ऐसा नहीं किया, तूने उस दिन फोन नहीं किया, तूने उस दिन मैसेज नहीं किया, तूने उस दिन, you know how it is. Right? How it goes on this, especially in the youngsters. So as soon as you start finding it within, then you know that if it comes, fantastic, right? And it'll come. But there'll be those days where it won't. So then you don't get disturbed because somebody doesn't validate you. And that's true for social media as well. The more deeply connected you are to yourself, the more you find your own value, your own worth. You don't need anybody to give you that sense of worth. Your worth is not based on likes, comments, and shares. Your worth is based on who you are. And then likes, comments, and shares are wonderful. They add value. Nothing wrong with likes, comments, and shares. Nothing wrong with a girlfriend or a boyfriend sending a beautiful message. But the day it doesn't come, I know how guys feel. The day there is a heartbreak, I know how guys feel.